All right, looks like we're live. So let me look this up real quick. So spiritual thought I had, I've finally kind of gotten around to re-listening to the conference talks from this last general conference, and so I just finished listening to Saturday morning, and let me see if I can find it. And it was a talk given right toward the end. It was by Elder J. Devin Cornish, and it was "Am I good enough? Will I make it?" And I really liked that because it was just talking about like us being our own judge and trusting in the Lord, having the faith that if we've given our all, He'll cover the rest. And this is obviously a common thought throughout the church and stuff. And so it's just neat to like listen to this talk again and hear that, Reed testified. And so I kind of found that unique in this case because here's a guy trying to take his own route. He's not trying to pursue something along with help of others or trying to have like essentially safety nets. He's like, no, you know what? I'm taking on this risk. I think I can do it. And he's going to give every ounce of effort he can to make it happen. So I just thought that was neat, and I guess trust in the results to follow. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
okay,
Yeah, that's good.
so let's see here. You get the same disclaimer every week. It says like take an hour to discuss this, but this one's really pretty straightforward. So we'll see what you guys have also come up with. But
Yeah.
so number one is assess the venture from the Jim Sharp's perspective.
To me, it looked like it was right up his alley. I mean, he had 10 years experience of going in and turning things around and been quite successful at it.
Yeah.
So,
He
he just decided to do it for himself.
yeah, he always wanted to own his own company and be 100% in charge, because like in the past, with the Hoover company, kind of burned him a little bit, but it's something he wanted to do. He didn't rush into it. He gave himself 18 months and he like planned what he was going to do. So I think it was a good thing for him to do.
I'm right there with you guys. I noticed he loves hardware, essentially, plastics and all the different businesses he did, to where this is going to fall right into that category of that type of industry. It wasn't anything specific, and he doesn't need specific because he understands how this type of job works. It's a matter of you got orders being placed, and then it's like, okay, well, how do we manage our orders? Do we raise or lower prices? Do we save on costs? And like you said, Michael, he's got 10 years doing it, and I really enjoyed this case. I love how they broke it down. He specifically stated, these are each one of the jobs I've had, the experiences I've had, and here are the lessons learned, which I felt just mapped it out. So from what I could read, I agree. I think this is completely up his alley.
Yeah, I like his lessons learned, the different lists that he gave. There were some good insights in there, I thought.
I thought because of the lessons he learned due to pricing and everything, it caused him to be very realistic and open-minded as to the elements he needed to evaluate in moving forward with the purchase of this company.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I also like the one where he said when you're going to do something, like we had talked about, GE told him to cut staff by 20% because they were going into a downturn, and he did it 10%, and he doubted the superiors, and then he had to go back and fire more people later on. And he said from that he learned that you're better off to just do it all right then, go a little extra, and you can always hire people back. And actually, from my own experience, my own company, that's 100% true. You keep trying to put Band-Aids on it as you're slowly falling down the hill, and it just doesn't work. You're better off just, cut everywhere you can, and then you can always move back.
Yeah.
Something else I really appreciated about that, because that was hard for me reading that part because it's not something I've ever had to experience. It sounds hard to me too. I liked how the one higher up guy to him was understanding of it though,
Yeah,
because
that's true.
he later talked to him. Go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, he gave him the reins and let him do it.
Well,
So
there
that's
was
good.
that, but he also confirmed saying, I understand, I was there once too. And he said, when I'm 2,000 miles away, I can make that call. But when you're right here in the mess of it, it is hard. And it was just like, it wasn't just this unsensible act. It was a realistic, if we're going to succeed, we know the numbers, this is what has to be done now. But you're just neat to hear, like, it's not easy. It's hard. And because it's hard, that's why, like you said too, Michael, just commit to it. Get it done, get it over with. Otherwise, you recount what he had said, when you have to come back time and time and time again to make more cuts, it gets harder and harder, and it just keeps digging at you rather than one time, one and done.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is kind of Michael's point. It's a lot easier to rehire than it is to build back the morale of the employees, So if they're always worried about getting fired or getting let go, it's harder to kind of like what you said. It's harder to build back morale than it is to rehire people. So just get it over with and then go from there.
Exactly.
Awesome. I guess some other things to look at, just in an effort to try to add to this first topic or this first question. Some of the things I found interesting was he learned, in moving forward, he learned about price. And I don't know if you guys have had this class yet. It was I can't think of what it was. It was supply chain management, which, Tyler, you're kind of pursuing it right now. I don't know if you've had the course yet. It was a business 261, I believe. It was like operations management.
Yeah, I remember that class.
61.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you learn about the supply chain management role. You learn, one of the greatest things I learned was, in order to increase profits, two options: you either sell more or you cut costs. And it was amazing to see how cutting just 1% of costs would be as much as 10% in increase in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he has that knowledge and experience in addition to understanding the effect of price adjustment. So for him to come into this industry and think, you know what, here's the mentality of our customers. If we do this or this, they're going to stay with us, because they need the product. We're not going to get outbeat. We're going to make a name for ourselves. And then with that also being said, he also knows, hey, let's make a few minor cuts in these areas, and let's see how much that's going to influence our product. So with that knowledge, again, this just plays into the fact he knows how this type of industry works. The tools are the same. Now it's just a matter of application, which, due to his experience, he knows how to do.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can't think of anything else to add to that, so we're going to move on.
Yeah, this is going to be a stretched hour for sure if we go the whole hour.
We'll see. All right. How has Gymsharp purchased this venture? What are the What are the implications of this financial structure?
Well, he bought the company for $2 million. Within that $2 million, he's got to repurchase machinery because it was saying that a lot of it's old and worn out, along with like the technology and the software. So they have to update. He has to update that. Just investing in new supplies. So he might have to wait a little bit before it becomes profitable. But that's
Okay.
some stuff I came up with.
Yep.
I think the important thing they're talking about here too is he has a loan. It's not venture capitalist money.
Mm-hmm.
To where he is the sole owner. There are no partners involved. There's no one else to have word in his say unless he asks for it, which essentially makes it easy, I feel, in being able to do what you want. You don't have other people looking over your shoulder. You're the man in charge. You make the decision. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you learn from it and move on. So anyway, I think it's important to recognize, because it's talking about, how did he do it? And I just think that's the main thing. Rather than having venture capitalists involved, which they're all about ownership as well, then you have to. Then you have a partnership, and each person has their say in the matter. There were the stipulations as to what had to be paid and when, just like any other loan. You have a payment period and minimum payments, expected growth, estimated value. He mapped out if things should fail, he could liquidate the assets and so forth to pay off the debt, including what he owed to the previous owner, because that was a part of the loan value he took out. So anything else you guys want to add to that?
No, I agree. I mean, last semester I did an entrepreneur class, and I had to have mentors. And one of the guys I interviewed was a guy who had actually created a microchip company, Micro. He's a member of the church. He's a friend of my dad's, works at the temple. Anyway, so he's a billionaire, and so I went ahead and did the interview with him and asked him how he started his business and all that stuff. And he was saying that he was about the part of the reason for his success is he was pretty much the only company in Silicon Valley that never took venture capital. He went to the bank and kept going to the bank. He had to go to the bank, 26 different banks before he finally found the financing, was able to do it conventionally. But because he did that, it gave him control of the company from the beginning. And he was able to, he ended up being a CEO of that company for 39 years. He never got the surprise where the board of directors voted him out because the VCs were pushing on him, things like that. It got to be his company, and he built it the way he wanted, and he was able to build the culture he wanted. So there's a lot of advantages to that. If you can, show the banks you have enough, enough assets and things where they're interested, then you're able to get a simple loan, simple interest, and not married to all these other partners that don't necessarily have your best interest at heart.
Yep. Yeah. I think I personally think that's the way to go. For example, like one time I did a Kickstarter, and anyways, and we got the money we needed, but it was weird. Like, besides another company that I started, when you take it out of your own pocket, man, and this is different for him. He has a lot more experience, but man, I feel like it's just like paying for your own education. You work so much harder to see it succeed because you're the only one at risk, if that makes sense. If it fails, you fail. If it succeeds, and there's a lot higher margin for reward, but there's also a higher margin for, everything just falling on you. So I think it's a good thing. Put yourself in that situation to where, there's no failure is not an option kind of thing. So that's what I think.
No, those are good points. That also, it reminded me, because he did mention that as one of those lessons learned, how when he worked for GE and the big companies, how he had like the umbrella effect. If something went wrong, it wasn't a total disaster. Like, they had a plan B, and there was a company to fall under, big name. It wasn't too big, and now this is a different position for sure. If something goes wrong, it's his job and career on the line, which, like you said, it essentially acts as motivation. Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
So, all right.
Yeah.
What should Jim Sharp do on his first day as owner of Extrusion Technology Incorporated?
I thought it was funny how the old owner just kind of gathered them all in the cafeteria and said, "Hey, by the way, this guy bought it. I'm out of here. Have a great life." After him and his dad had been running the company for 20, 40 yes. I'm like, dude, that guy was trunky or
Peace
what?
out.
Yeah, peace out. Don't call me. And that was the other thing is the guy said, "Oh yeah, as part of the deal, hey, you can call me if you have any questions and I'll help you out." And I'm just looking at how he acted with his employees. I'm like, you're never hearing from this guy again.
Yeah.
Unless you stop making payments to him, he might answer your calls. But yeah, I think the first thing he needs to do, it talked about that there were 3 strikes that lasted a few weeks with the union, things like that. I think he really needs to team. He's got the captive audience there in the cafeteria. I think he needs to spend some time to get to know them and get to, let them know him. So there's some confidence there and stuff. They might realize, right now they're probably looking at him as the enemy. This guy's going to come in and start cutting jobs and this and that. So I think he needs to spend some time with his core of his business, which is his employees.
Yeah. I think about we've talked about this before, but it's one of my favorite shows, The Profit. Marcus, like the first thing he does when he buys a company is he gets to know his people, and like he puts the right people in the right jobs. He builds the structure of the company. Like he can't do anything else until he has the right people doing the right job. So just going off of Michael's point, you got to spend time to first of all build the trust of your new employees. Build up morale, and I don't know, start from there. But you have to start with your foundation, which is employees.
Okay. Certainly a respectable answer, and I can support it. For me personally, my approach was, this is business. You're here to make money. Mm-hmm. So my first direction was changing the price of the product, which for me, I felt like once you show that kind of leadership, because it had the same effect on him when he was in that role of changing the price and learning what the management level had to say about it, all of a sudden he had more respect for them because he saw it work. So that was kind of my thoughts, is immediately out the gate, we're going to start making more money. We're going to turn this business around, and we're going to lead by example. Like everyone's going to see that from the results of this decision, you'll know that I am a decision maker and I have experience. You're going to see this company grow. And if this company grows, they're better off. So that was my instinct, was I was going for the money and lead by example. And that would hopefully then build trust in that element of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a big part of it. That would definitely be in line right after that. So the reason why I picked the getting to know the employees and working with them on that first day is just I've seen companies get bought out, and the new guy comes in, starts throwing his weight around, and you lose half your employees in a matter of hours. And so, yeah, you've got all this equipment you just bought, but you have another big resource that you thought you bought. Your employees just walked out the door. You thought you controlled them, and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the union guys that left?
Usually,
yeah. Get rid of all your union guys.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and that was an interesting thing too. He has experience working with unions. He knows how to handle contracts and negotiations. And I thought that was, because at first I was like, yeah, let him go. But then I was like, you know what? He has experience. He might have some stuff in his toolbox to be able to help him know how to handle these guys. So,
yeah.
Again, just more experience he had aiding him in this decision.
Yep.
What should his action plan be for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, and what should his priorities be?
So, it's a pretty basic answer, but I said, just first of all,
lay it to me. Mine's a basic answer too. So
okay, I was just gonna say, like, first of all, you got to set your own mission statement. You got to set the vision for the company. You got to help your employees understand what the vision is, like what they're working towards, and it can be like exactly what you talked about. Reducing costs. But that's the first step. Over the next 6 to 12 months, I think that they need to update their machinery and their technology. Because if that's like one of the bottlenecks in their company, that's making it so they can't really reduce their costs. If getting new machinery to make them more efficient, I think that's a must. Instead of, what's that quote? If you do the same thing you always did, you always get the same results that you always did, or something like that. So, updating machinery is a big one. Yeah, and then kind of what you said, review prices and margins and what's going to make them most profitable. So that's what I think.
I know for me, I like the element you brought up of bringing up like the company mission statement and such. I think that would actually be a really good thing to add. I hadn't considered that. I think it's an important role because it defines the character of the business and what's expected of the employees, the family unit that is expected, the organization, which will establish how well people work together. Like you said, it could create a sense of unity and motivation with them, which is all key factors in a good working team and organization. My simple answer was this is business, and the beautiful thing is he doesn't have shareholders other than himself, so he doesn't have to make them happy. He's not looking long term right now. Right now, it's a matter, especially for a 6-month and 12-month plan. His goal: make money. That's what business is. It's all about making money, get those dollars moving. So for me, that's my goal. How do we get money coming in and out these doors so that our company can grow? So that was just my focus, plain and simple. Let's get this business going.
Yeah.
My thinking is, I know what I would do. The first thing going in there, I'm reading through, and it's talking about how the building is in shambles, paint's peeling, the parking lot's filthy and filled with trash, landscaping's overgrown. It also talks about the customers. There's been a lot of complaints and things with product. Customer service has been bad, and so is their product. Sometimes when a new ownership comes in on a company, a lot of customers that were loyal decide to jump ship. And so I think part of being profitable is to get that image in order, show them that you're making changes and improving, and get out there. I think he needs to get out and do some personal sales, personal contacts with the customers that they already have before he runs out grabbing new ones, and make sure that they're happy, find out any suggestions they might have. They'll be the first ones to tell you where they thought the old guy was failing. That might save you a lot of legwork and you finding things out the hard way down the road. So I would say, number one, I would get the image in order. Number two, I would go and get my customers get my customers to understand where I'm planning on taking the company and what kind of individual I am. And then you had talked about making money. And yeah, I think once I have my customer foundation, I'm confident with him. I've also got a few months under my belt of what my costs are, what bills seem to be reoccurring that make no sense. I talked about inventories keep being too much. The safety stock's got to be out of whack, things like that. Give yourself a few months to really see what's going on, because it doesn't sound like this guy kept records. And then hit that, tightening the belt, seeing where you can increase your margins, things like that.
I want to just touch on something you added there, because I forgot that they talked about the poor conditions of the facility, lack of paint, dirty, the overgrowth. And what was interesting that I found, again, this is the perks that I feel I've seen from a corporate standpoint as opposed to a shareholder standpoint. And the personal experience I had is I worked for Discount Tire for 5.5 years, and they're completely private, and they don't have the shareholder issue. And what was awesome about it, and in relation to this, is you can. And I don't know if you guys have had this experience when you're working for an employer, and all of a sudden they bring you new tools. How does that make you feel? I'm grateful. Like, you just made my job easier. Thank you. So kind of like how you said, Tyler, getting new machines, just creating the image of our facility. If it's, a new fresh coat of paint, everything's cleaned, organized, working well. I know what it's like working at Discount Tire, where we deal with massive loads of inventory. If inventory is managed well to where it's not overflowing, then, you feel a little bit more relaxed. When everything's so overstocked, it's a little overwhelming, because you're like, are we not selling enough? It's hard to clean and organize and manage everything. So just being able to clear that kind of stuff out. One, it saves costs, like you said, but there's also just a feel about the image and what kind of effect that can have on the morale of your team. So
Yeah.
get huge element you recognize there in trying to address, which, like I said, you can make those efforts in the beginning because you're focused on taking care of your team. You're focused on, again, making money. Because shareholders, they might not like knowing how much money you just spent to make your shop look pretty, because they're going to be like, well, we're looking for long-term wealth and money. And it's like, I'm taking care of my team now. It's going to pay off in the long run. And that's how he's, a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it falls in with what Tyler said as far as for getting your mission statement out there. If you're trying to build this nice positive image, this mission statement, where you want the employees to take the company and all that, and shambles, you're not going to get too far. You need to make sure that when you introduce that mission statement, they've already seen the results of that, and you're practicing what you're preaching.
Yep.
Okay. And then the last question I see is, did Jim make the right acquisition? And explain.
I think we've explained it through the last 4 questions. Yeah, I mean, just recapping, he had 10 years of experience in manufacturing, in leadership positions and roles. He knew exactly what he was doing. This is what he wants to do. He was able to, being 100% owner. He did it his way. He didn't take out debt so he is 100% in charge of what is going on. So again, he made the right decision in my mind. I think he's going to be able to grow that company and be really successful with it. But that's just a recap.
Hey, that sounds like a great summary to me.
Yeah.
Works for me.
I want to add one thing. Did any of you guys play with the Excel file?
I'm about to. I haven't had a chance.
I haven't.
I will be
I've
shortly.
only played with it a little bit. It's really generic. Essentially, it's a combination of all the files they tacked on at the end of the case. There was one element of it that I liked, though, that they're trying to project is if in 5 years, in 1993, if he goes to sell the company based on 6 times his EBIT value, what would that be? And according to his projections, if all goes well, he had it at 300 and where did it go? He had it at $632,000, which selling that at 6 times that value would be over $3.5 million. So in 5 years, and again, this is the perks of being independently owned as opposed to venture capitalists involved. At the end of that time, he's debt-free, and that's his money.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to share it with anybody. And that's just the awesome thing. If I could double my money like that in 5 years, I want that investment too.
Yeah, plus a good steady salary coming in every month.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm just going to make a comment real quick then. Tyler, if you don't mind, buddy, can you say the same thing you said right now? Because I'm going to leave that at the end just as our summary.
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to say it right now?
Yes, please. I think we're good. Michael, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, so yeah, Tyler, it's all you, buddy.
Okay. So I think Jim definitely made the right decision. He's had over 10 years of experience with manufacturing. This is something he's wanted to do for a long time, to own his own business. In our opinion, he did it the right way because he is now 100% in charge of this business. He bought it with his own money, so that way he's going to reap all the rewards when he sells the business. Pretty much I don't know if I left anything out, but that's what we came up with. He's doing the right thing. He's with his work experience. He's going to be able to grow this company, and he's the right guy for the job with the right work experience. So.
Awesome. Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.